Hello, Libra. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Libra is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Libra, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Seven of Cups. This is a card that's usually masquerading as something very lovely in life, right? I think it's the recognition for you that you're not quite satisfied with the way things are. Something that was once very nourishing, you're kind of saying, I don't like it anymore. Maybe you really like to eat broccoli at some point in your life, and now you're thinking broccoli, ugh. Okay? Something in your life that used to be very fulfilling, you're starting to recognize is not anymore. Okay, good. I see it for what it is. I'm happy that I know this now, about myself. So, I don't think that you're terribly upset about this. You're kind of looking at it and you're recognizing that this means you need to change something. You're not going to keep eating the same thing if it's not nourishing to you anymore. And this isn't just you had a bad experience with it or something, or you're just having a bad day. No, this is kind of like fundamentally you're seeing that something is not meant for you. And, well, we got to put this card into a little bit of context. This is almost like we're seeing things, the scales have fallen from your eyes. You're seeing things for what they truly are right now. You're seeing beyond just that surface level gratification that it once provided for you. And it's almost a blessing that we feel. I appreciate that I can see this now, rather than being tricked in a way, glamorized by something. And it's kind of like a meal is presented with all this beautiful color and all these wonderful garnishes, and it just looks so fancy, but really it's nothing. It's yuck, right? It's just kind of toxic slime, yeah. But it may look very good. Again, this card very often masquerades as something that's just absolutely wonderful and delicious. You're seeing through the facade, and you're seeing it for what it is. Whether it's a relationship, a job, a friendship, whatever it might be. We got a little bit of context to explore, though, don't we? You have your intuition. You have your eon, judgment, rebirth, reawakening. You have your Libra energy behind you. Interesting that it's in this position, right? Your Libra card. Because this is kind of saying that maybe this, whatever this is, this toxic thing, has led you away from your true self, and maybe now the High Priestess, your spirit, your intuition, is trying to lead you back. There's the clarity. There's change. Yeah. I think that you recognize that it's time for change, that you've strayed from your true self. It's time for you to get back to your purpose, get back to your higher wisdom and discernment, get back to a state of centeredness and balance, self-confidence. Okay. Over here we have the Prince of Pentacles, Ten of Swords, the Star, and a Prince of Wands, going from matter to energy, going from earth to fire rather than from fire to earth. It's almost as if you're trying to unmanifest something. I think what happened is we made some decisions. You got to this point. You thought this was going to be it. You thought this was going to be what you wanted. You thought this was going to be bliss. It's not. You're seeing that, oh, I was wrong. And now we're undoing it. We're taking the puzzle apart again. You're putting everything's back up in the air. We've disassembled it. Going from matter to energy. We're unmanifesting it. And I think it's perhaps unfortunate. You don't feel good about it. But you understand that, yeah, that's part of the process. The high priestess has sort of pulled you through this position, and maybe you're trying to figure out why. Why did Spirit bring you through to this manifestation only for you to realize that this isn't what you want? This isn't nourishing to your soul. And so you're almost like you're asking the high priestess, why did you bring me to the swamp? Okay, I think you're understanding that maybe there is a lesson here somewhere. But maybe right now is not the time for you to try to figure out what the lesson is. It's time for you to keep moving. Maybe this was something that you were only supposed to do temporarily. And the high priestess is trying to take you by the hand and say, okay, come on, you're lingering too long here. And I think you're starting to realize that. Again, before this probably looked beautiful, delicious. You've been here long enough now, it's starting to you've overstayed your welcome. Things are starting to rot. And high priestess is here saying, let's keep moving. Okay? You've been here long enough. Yeah. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random. Oh, I guess that would be it. A couple of random cards from the Smith-Waite Tarot. The factors, infinite and unknown. We're going to set them right here with Dwight K. Schrute to watch over. Well, no, let's use Dwight for one, and we'll use Mr. Tao, the Yin Yang Duck, for the other one. We're not going to look at those cards until the very end. They will tie everything together and give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments down below. Okay? Now, why am I seeing eggs? Spirit's showing me eggs. Not real eggs, but like wooden eggs or even stones that are egg-shaped stones or something. I don't know if it's a decoration or if it's some kind of a ceremonial thing for you or symbolic in some way, but these little fake eggs, yeah. Anyway, as we look around the room, we see major, 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 major. We see fire. We see water. We see some air cards, some earth cards. Okay? Some air cards and some earth cards. The air is you really cutting through the nonsense. You're using your higher wisdom and discernment, your superpower gift, to cut through this swamp and to really get the clarity. You're seeing this for what it is, big time. And there's the door. And there's the door. And it's leading you to uncertainty. It's leading you to a little bit of disruption, a little bit of instability. Well, yeah, because you're undoing something that you've already accomplished. You've already done it. You've already secured this thing. And then you're realizing that you don't really want it. You don't like it. I think that you put in a lot of work. You made some decisions. And you arrived at that place. And it was satisfying for a while. Now it's not. Now it's maybe it's revealing its true colors to you. Maybe that's what the high priestess is doing, is trying to show you, look, this is not what you thought it was. This was not supposed to be your temporary life or your permanent life. It was only meant to be temporary. Okay? Spirit's trying to show you the light, and guess what? The clarity is dawning. You're receiving the information. You're saying, okay, Spirit, okay, high priestess, I hear you loud and clear. This is not for me. It maybe was for a short period of time, but now you're being told, move along, okay? And I think that, I think this is a very interesting way to do magic, you know? It's magic, we always think of magic and manifestation as kind of creating something, having the intention, having the fire and earth, right? That's it, that's the electrical circuit of creation, fire and earth. I have an intention and an implementation, will to action, impulse to behavior, above to below, heaven to earth. the instant sort of act of creation. But very often, creation goes the other way around. Sometimes we have to uncreate, reclaim the energy, reclaim the materials, the raw materials. Sometimes we got to put the fire out and put the stones back in where they were, brush away the dust and remove our footprints and start over. And we move on, and then we collect the stones, make a circle, we put the wood, we light the fire, and there we go. So creation and destruction, it's kind of, they go hand in hand. And I think that's kind of what we're doing here. So we're unmanifesting something as we continue on this journey. It's not that it was a waste of time, although you're looking at it as a waste of time. You may be perceiving it as a completely meaningless experience, but I don't think Spirit wants you to look at it that way. It was teaching you something. It was a necessary stage, but it was a temporary stage. And it could be that it's a Seven of Cups here because maybe you thought it was going to be longer. Maybe you thought it was like going to be a more permanent structure. And then Spirit comes along and says, no, this was just supposed to be a little campfire for a couple nights, and then you put the fire out and you keep traveling. Keep moseying on, So that's kind of the difficult position that you're in right now with this High Priestess. This is the obstacle card. And this is your quest. Follow the light. Follow your intuition. Your intuition is telling you that this is not the place for you anymore. You got to believe in that. You got to trust in Spirit, trust in that divine energy, trust in your own intuition. It's not an impulse. It's not just, oh, I'm bored. That's my intuition telling me I should go do something more fun, right? No, this is deeper than that. This is more thoughtful. This is more authentic. This is a very truthful place in you that's saying, it's time to close this chapter. It's time to move on from this. You're being told and it's difficult to believe that's really the case. So I feel like there's something that's happening in your life that's making you very aware. It's like somebody or something really showed you who they were. And there's no unseeing it, It's like you have no choice now but to believe what your own eyes and ears and soul are telling you. Okay. That something is no longer healthy for you. You got to keep going. Now, what are the figurines that are next to the bed? Are like the little action figures or something next to the bed? Yeah. Anyway. Down beneath the surface, inside of you, is this doorway. This is the Eon card. Judgment, rebirth, reawakening, the baptism by fire. This is the spiritual alarm clock. There's something there's like a red flag. There's some alarm going off inside of you that's saying, it's time to go, it's time to go, it's time to go. We're stepping through this doorway into a new future. And sometimes, you know what, this card is about the old universe has been crushed to dust. The new universe has yet to be built. And that's just it. There's expansion and there's contraction. There's creation and there's destruction. Shiva's eye opens and closes. I think it's Shiva, right? And that's it. I think the mystery cards, one of these is going to be the Tower. Yeah. One of them is going to be the Empress, probably. Creation and destruction. Out with the old, in with the new. We're crushing the old universe to dust, and we're going to use that dust mixed with a little bit of water, we're going to make some clay, and we're going to construct the new. And we're going to keep going. Yeah, because your journey's not over. This is a divine doorway. Let's do a divine doorway oracle card. This is the alarm bells going off inside of you, okay? We have yes, kiss the ground and touch the sky. Your soul is now set to leap and to fly. Okay, look at it, look at the bright side. Look at this as being a freedom and a liberation rather than a loss. Okay, you're saying yes to this doorway. You're hearing the voice of Spirit inside of you. You're getting that alarm energy feeling, that red alert feeling inside of you. And you're saying yes, you're acquiescing. You're saying, okay, I'm trusting and I'm following. This requires a definite decision, leaving the past in the past and moving forward. Shutting the door behind you, you know. Behind you, we have the Libra energy. This could be an old version of yourself. Okay. Could have thought that you were done developing something, some part of you. You're not done. This is a card of higher wisdom and discernment. This is the card of adjustments, balance. This is the card of priorities and how we are evaluating things in life. And because this card's in your past, it's telling me a couple of things. That you're here in this Seven of Cups place. It didn't always feel like a Seven of Cups, okay? But you're where you are now because of choices that you made. That you maybe at the time thought that you were making the right choices. And I think you did. You did make the right choices. Now it's time for you to continue making the right choices and not just get stuck here, but to keep moving forward. So don't believe that you made a wrong turn. I think that's what Spirit's trying to tell you, is that the High Priestess has led you to this moment. You didn't take a wrong turn somewhere. Okay, you're not Bugs Bunny, kind of making a left at Albuquerque. You were led to this moment. So there's a reason why you were here, and there's a reason why now you're seeing things for what they are, and you're being told to keep going. So don't start getting sort of angry with yourself, or don't start blaming yourself that you feel like you've made a wrong turn. You made a bad decision. Okay? But I also feel that this card is saying that you have to understand where your priorities are. What are you really giving value to? There's something about this situation that you've assigned it way more importance than it deserves. And so maybe we're even going to get a hanged man or something here, because I feel like there's a devotion to this thing that it's kind of out of proportion. It's like there's an attachment to this thing that doesn't deserve that part of you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Up above is the clarity, the Ace of Swords. This is you receiving the direct download from Spirit. Yeah, that you've cut through the noise of the mind. That's what this card's all about, the clarity of consciousness. The mental noise is still there, but you've turned the volume down. The tip of that sword is in outer space. It's pierced the veil of the mental sphere and is receiving the signal from the cosmos. You've raised your antenna up through the chaos of the mind. The chaos of the mind's still there, but you're able to raise the antenna and tap into the signal from Spirit and get that clarity. So I'm sure you have doubts. You've got questions, right? There's confusion. There's noise going on. There's a lot of conflicting beliefs and thoughts and all this rumination going on. But there's a part of you that is receiving that signal from the divine that's telling you this is time. It's time to move on. It's time to keep going. And this is the clarity that you need to see into this situation. And I think it's a blessing. I think you're lucky that you're able to perceive this for what it is, rather than still looking at this and seeing such glamour and beauty and joy and, oh, this is perfect. I think you're in some ways thankful that you have eyes that can see. Okay? And so I feel like somebody kind of revealed their true self to you. Or some situation like maybe the honeymoon period wore off, the novelty of it wore off, and you're thinking, oh, wow, if I look past the facade, this corruption I don't want. Okay. So moving forward then, you have your Five of Pentacles. To me, this feels like we're taking something apart. We're going back on the road. Okay. The Four is kind of the Four is like a baseline. The Four is like, I'm not moving, I'm sitting here, this is where I am. The Five is like, I'm out here doing the work, I'm trying something else. I'm moving around. We either get the 6 or the 7, we either get the win or the loss. We either get the joy or the sadness, the happiness or the sadness, yeah? victory or the defeat. So the 5 really is, it can go either way at that point. I think the 7 was where we expected this to be a win, and maybe it was a win, maybe it felt good at first, and then you sort of are realizing that this isn't a win. This wasn't the win that you thought it was. You were expecting a different feeling, but you get there and that's what you get. So what do you do? Well, you keep moving. This is energy in motion. This is now kind of moving on from what you did, kind of undoing it a little bit, and juggling the pieces again. And then you're going to let them land, and it's either going to come out as a 6 or a 7. It's either going to be a win or a loss. Okay? So you roll, you're shaking the dice. You roll the dice. I think you got a 7 of cups, right? So this is you picking up the dice again, rolling the dice again. And that's where we are. Okay? So you're not settling for, you're not just thinking, oh, I 7 of cups. Well, that's my life now. No, you're not accepting that as the final outcome. You're picking things up and you're trying again. And you're going to try with a little more clarity, with more experience. It's not just going to be a repeat. Because you're different now. The world is different. The energy is completely different. But you're back on the road and you're traveling forward and you're going to try again. This is a card of trying again, really. Okay. Now, Path of the Serpent. Similar energy here with the Prince of Pentacles, right? The builder. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, by the way, please do. So the builder here is the one who shows up every day, the one who's very consistent. This is the way other people see you. I think you're someone who is very reliable, and you're loyal, and you are you're a good worker, you're a good employee, you're trustworthy. You say you're going to do something, and you do it. What about when you get a 7 of Cups? Are you going to continue doing it even though it's now you recognize the corruption? You recognize the toxicity? Are you going to keep showing up? Right? Or are you're going to show up for yourself? Yeah. I don't think you are taking this lightly. But I think that you're not taking it so hard either. You're not destroyed or distraught by it. You're kind of you're taking it in stride, thinking, okay, we'll keep moving. We'll keep building. You try to put something together, didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Okay, well, it's kind of like you're building one of those bookshelves, you know, and you put it together. You try really hard to put it together. You're very excited about it. This does not look like a bookshelf, you know. It's all crooked, it's slanted, you can't put books on it, right? It's supposed to just be a lot of right angles on a bookshelf, but yours is all curved and no. So what do? You don't just say, well, I guess I'll just stick it in the corner and put a sheet over it. No, you take it apart. You unmanifest it. And hopefully, when you put it back together again, you've learned a little something, something, and you can make it a little bit closer to what you were hoping for. You make it look a little bit more like a bookshelf. Yeah. You know, I think that's what we're doing here. This is the builder. Yeah. And we can try as many times as we need to get something closer to what's going to satisfy our heart, you know. But the worst thing, to me, is this 10 of swords. It's kind of the worst thing and the best thing. First, we'll give you the bad news. The bad news is that if you look at this situation as being completely meaningless and worthless and pointless, then you will have not learned a lesson and you will build the same curvy, wavy bookshelf that you built last time that you're going to not like. That's the bad news. That if you don't learn your lesson, you're going to repeat the same thing. The good news, though, is that this card's also the birdcage card. The good news is that you dodged a bullet. You didn't want that bookshelf anyway. Yeah. The good news is that you've gotten out of a situation that would have been terrible, that if you didn't see it for what it really is, If somehow you saw an illusion, that there was some kind of a cloud, a fog in front of your eyes, and you were looking at that really bad bookshelf, and you were thinking, oh, that's great, that's beautiful, that's exactly what I wanted. That would be way worse than for you to just see things clearly and honestly and see that it was terrible, and you don't want it, and then you're going to redo it. Or you're going to recycle it. Okay, the silver lining here. We're getting out of a birdcage. That you're not getting trapped in a birdcage. That you're not going to be deluded or you're not going to be glamorized by this birdcage, and then you just kind of get trapped in that birdcage. You're seeing it for what it is, and so you're able to avoid that trap. That's the good news here. There's that silver lining. Now the next card is your destiny, your insight. This is your soul itself. This is you as a luminous spiritual being. And your very truest self has sent the high priestess to you to teach you the lesson, but to also escort you out of that situation. And so it may not be easy for you to believe that everything happens for a reason, but I think you know it does. It's not easy to accept that in the moment. This is the card of insight. Okay? This is the card that's saying eventually you will understand what the lesson was so that you don't repeat it. First thing you got to do is undo what's been done. You got to unmanifest it. Okay? And then you'll learn the lesson, and then you can apply your energy again. The star card in the position of the fear, worry, and concern. Yeah. Maybe the fear that you have strayed from your destiny, just like we said back here, where maybe you feel like you've made a really bad choice. Like you thought you were really following your star, but somehow you ended up lost. No, you're not lost. You haven't been lost. You've been right on course. This is just that part of the journey that you needed to go through. Your fear is that you've lost sight of your truest self, or that you've lost sight of your destiny, or that you've strayed from your North Star. No, you haven't. This is part of the trip. That's that swampy part of the ocean that you need to sail right through that. Don't stay there. Yeah. The Prince of Wands here at the end, I think that's you reclaiming your energy, reclaiming all of the raw materials, and really acting again. It's time for action, right? I like that we have the earth, the manifested energy, that's kind of then like transcending that and kind of moving past this, going from earth to fire rather than fire to earth. Okay, I like the meaning of that here, because it's that we're untying a knot. And maybe this is a karmic situation that you've had to go through. That's something the star very often does. Shows us where our blockages are, shows us where our knots of karma are, so that we can confront those, untie those knots, liberate our energy, and continue radiating our light out to the world and seeing our yellow brick road to our best life. So I believe there is a reason why you're going through this situation. Okay, it's so that you can go through it, and that will help you to clear away a lot of the blockages that are preventing you from getting the life that you want. It's a necessary phase. Okay, let's look at the mystery cards, both of them. I feel like maybe we'll get the Empress. What did I say it was going to be before? The Tower, right? Maybe in the Empress. Yeah. Well, let's see. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. Let's see. Well, they're both upside down for one thing. That's my fault. We have the Chariot and the Three of Swords. Now, the Chariot is it's a card of traveling. It's a card of fortification. It's a card of discipline and self-control. The Three of Swords is a card of sorrow and heartbreak, right? The Three of Swords is interesting to me because it's a card of memory, and it's sometimes a card of unconscious psychological complexes and patterns. So what I'm sensing in this card is that you've been through this situation before. Okay? This is telling me that there is a knot of karma here that you're needing to work through. And it may not be the first time that you've been in a situation where the scales fall from your eyes and you realize the truth of a situation, and then you have to undo something and move on. And I wonder if Spirit's trying to show you the way of avoiding this next time. As you travel in your chariot, don't get stuck in the swamp again. You're becoming very familiar with the bovine excrement, that maybe next time you can avoid driving into the swamp. Yeah. So that Three of Swords is probably indicating like this is a repeat. It's like, here we go again. It's like maybe you find yourself getting involved in something that seems very good at first, but then you realize, oh, that was a mistake. And then so you spend a lot of time and energy unmanifesting it, undoing it, extricating yourself from it, cleaning off the bovine excrement, and then moving on again. And then you're driving along your merry way and you say, ooh, that looks nice. And then you drive over there only to realize shortly thereafter, that's another swamp. Because again, the Seven of Cups will masquerade as the oasis. It's a mirage. Why do you keep driving into the mirages? Let's learn to see things for what they are before we get stuck in that mud. Trust your intuition beforehand so that you don't repeat that same thing again. Yeah, I feel like that's what's going on here. We're going to do an extended reading as well. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Libra on Mondays and Thursdays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we are all in this together.